Yo, Dan, snagging first this morning. How's it going? Also, shout out Icy Pink Lemonade for the follow 12 hours ago. Appreciate it. I wasn't online then, but thank you. Muted is a meeting, trying to look. Awkward wait. Thanks, man. Thanks for acknowledging the awkwardness. Man, my beard looks like I just woke up, which isn't far off from the truth. I did just wake up like an hour or two ago. I had to get some housework done, and then I look like I just rolled out of bed. I gotta trim my beard. It's actually like at the unruly stage. It's time to tame it again. Like some of these beard hairs get caught in my headphone cable. It's just looking all over the place today. We'll just have to roll with it. It'll be alright. My plan is to trim tonight and like shape it back up. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and get started. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Guys, we've been trapped in the house for a few days now. We actually got out yesterday and braved the icy roads, and drove to the store and restocked on lots of groceries. Shadow Advance, good to see you. Welcome back. We got game news this morning. We're gonna jump into in just a moment and have some discussions and things. There's a lot to talk about, and I would like to jump in and not waste your time today. Although I do love wasting people's. No, I'm just kidding. Let's jump in. Let's get started. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm going to switch this playlist. Lulu, good to see you this morning. Still enjoying the Fortnite? I'm taking a break from it. Hey, Base Guru, good to see you. Guys, so good to see everyone this morning. Hey, if you're watching on mobile, how are you liking the vertical format for the streams? I feel like I need to add some stuff to the overlays, but I've been wanting to rework most of my overlays anyway. But I don't know. You guys sound off. Let me know how you feel about them. Hey, Kel, my wonderful wife. She brought me my coffee this morning. She's so amazing and helpful. Back on the job today. 12-minute drive took 40. Oh, gross, dude. I hate you had to get out into it. Well, I hope everybody's doing safe. This winter weather's no joke. It is rough. It is rough out there. It's pretty awesome. You really like it. I've taken a break from Fortnite. I had to. It was getting a little too grindy for me, and I was like, I gotta do something else. So I've been focusing on single player games, having a blast. All right, well, let's jump into some game news. We have quite a few things to talk about. Obviously, Highguard's launch is something to be studied because, well, we'll get to it, but that's like our big story. We also have some GTA 6 updates I think are worth talking about. And then let's just kick things off with Microsoft reportedly scored a massive memory deal with SK Hynix, who make RAM, sending SK Hynix's stock up 8.7%. So this is from Jez Corden over at Windows Central. He's the only guy left at Windows Central on the gaming side. So good luck, Jez. I always appreciate your articles, and it was cool that one time I got to talk to you on a podcast. Microsoft platforms may avoid DRAM supply issues if this report is to be believed. 2026 will probably be remembered by tech enthusiasts as the year RAM prices ruined everything. That's how I feel. But at least Microsoft, it seems, will be able to weather the storm. Think of the shareholders. Dude nailed it. All right, in case you've been living under a large slab of silicon, you might have heard that memory prices have exploded in recent months, and it's all because of artificial intelligence. The demand for compute from AI-first companies is so impossibly vast that memory makers cannot keep up with the demand. Hey, Brent, good to see you. The demand, it's gotten so bad, Samsung has even refused to sell memory to divisions within its own company, with analysts estimating that anywhere up to 70% of new silicon could go straight to data centers this calendar year. In essence, corporations and data center hyperscalers are outbidding consumer goods manufacturers. As a result, consumer-grade products are being increasingly squeezed out of the picture. Laptops, PC components, and even smart fridges feel the pinch. Pretty much any device with DRAM in it is expected to or already will go up in price as tariffs and shortages continue to impact consumer products. One such memory maker, SK Hynix, recently shuttered its consumer RAM divisions to focus entirely on the data center core. And good old Microsoft looks like it's got a front row seat at the RAM buffet. According to a report from Bloomberg, SK Hynix has entered into a big contract with Microsoft to become the sole supplier of advanced memory for the firm's new AI products. News sent SK Hynix's stock price up over 8% on the Korean stock exchange, wiping out some earlier losses on fresh U.S. tariff fears. What does this amount to is what I want to know what this means for us. If it's all for AI, then it's not a good thing. It's just Microsoft's throwing its weight around. Microsoft debuted its Maya 200 AI chip today, which says it will offer world-leading efficiencies over competing similar products. It's a positive move for Microsoft's AI hopes, as it faces down the prospect of competing with Google, whose own homegrown Tensor server is already a fair bit further ahead than Microsoft's. The report states SK Hynix will become the sole supplier of memory for this chip. Okay. So they bought RAM for their AI stuff, and never mind, it's not actually going to help us. I thought this was going to give us some hope, but nope. Microsoft wants everybody to have AI. Oh man, see, and that's the problem I'm having with like a lot of this, is every time we turn around and get like a glimpse of hope, it gets shattered some kind of way. And so I figured, hey, Microsoft's securing RAM so hardware can like still come out. And it's like, yeah, hardware is still coming out, but it's all AI driven hardware. And Microsoft's push for the AI stuff to be in everybody's hands is not my favorite thing they've ever done. But very few things are my favorite thing they've ever done. Microsoft has gone too long doing what it's currently doing, just forcing stuff down our throats. And it's just, it feels intentional. It feels like, well, we can do whatever we want and you're going to still support it. And it's like, I don't know about that, Chief. Lulu said, I get that. I only play Fortnite when people ask me to get on these days, and then I'm enjoying Animal Crossing and Horizons. Yeah. The layout for mobile. Thanks. Yeah, it's really good. I'm glad Twitch let me into the early access for it, because once it's out everywhere, I think everybody should set it up, but I don't know if everybody could set it up. I hope they have some different options for setting it up. But yeah, so that's that story. Let's move on to the next one. Maybe. Oh, okay. This is kind of a smaller thing. Very happy. This is from the director, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Very happy Xbox players are enjoying Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, game director. There we go. Final Fantasy VII Remake will also bring you Rebirth and the last part of the trilogy. Let's enjoy the world of Final Fantasy VII together. Thanks to Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond for always supporting the Final Fantasy series. And the only reason I feature that is because this really confirms that Rebirth is coming to Xbox and Switch to some degree. This is an Xbox-related post. But the important thing is confirming that the last part of the trilogy is also coming to Xbox and probably Switch too. And rumors are that Rebirth could launch this year on Switch 2 and Xbox, like later this year. Obviously, we just got Remake. But Rebirth, I mean, there's no reason to delay it except to give people time to finish Remake. But you don't even have to do that. That's just a courtesy thing, right? Very interesting. I'm curious to see when they would do that. Probably this summer, later this summer, maybe fall. But the more you delay stuff to fall this year, the more you're up against GTA 6, and that is a real concern. But that's cool. I'm glad we got confirmation. We kind of knew Rebirth was going to come to Xbox, or at least we assumed. But now we've got confirmation. Rebirth and Part 3 are definitely headed to everything else besides just PlayStation, which is great. Great news. All right, moving on. Speaking of Sony, Sony's quietly suggesting PS4 players upgrade to PS5 consoles. Earlier today, images surfaced online of a system message apparently sent by PlayStation Direct to users on PlayStation 4 consoles. The message was suggesting they take a look at the latest deals on PS5 consoles to upgrade and avoid missing out on some of the biggest games set to launch in 2026. Midway through 2024, the split between PS4 and PS5 players was around 50-50, with tens of millions of gamers worldwide still using the 2013 console as their flagship gaming device. Yeah, at some point they're going to want people to upgrade because they're going to have to stop supporting the PS4 almost entirely. It's time to give up the PlayStation 4. The PS5 has been out on the market for more than 5 years, and the first PS4 console dropped in 2013, so perhaps it's time to finally bite the bullet and make that upgrade. That is, unless you're holding out for the launch of the PlayStation 6 and are prepared to skip a generation. That actually wouldn't be a bad plan if the next generation was launching within the next 2 years, but it's looking like it could be the next 4 or 5 years. So I think this current gen still has a lot of potential. I don't think we've maxed anything out. I think there's a lot of optimizations that could be made across the board and really tap into some of the hardware that is in the current gen consoles. Let's see. In a recent message surfaced on social media, one user claimed to have received a message from PlayStation that was quietly encouraging them to upgrade. It says, whether you're catching up with hits from 2025 like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Arc Raiders, and Ghosts of Yosei, or getting ready for the most anticipated games of 2026, including Saros, 007 First Light, Neo 3, and so much more, now's the perfect time to upgrade to a PS5 console. Scan the QR code to see the latest deals on PS5 consoles. Perhaps it's good guy Sony trying to pull players in the right direction with their gaming hardware, or maybe it's a method designed to coax players away from a withdrawing platform that they've started sunsetting. On October 25, it was revealed that some PlayStation 4 titles would have certain PSN features switched off in 2026. It's an effort by Sony to start winding down what has fast become legacy hardware and software, especially as eyes turn to whatever comes next in the PlayStation 6. That's not surprising. There's a ton of people still playing on PS4. So long as Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite support PS4, I don't think it's going anywhere. But, you know, Fortnite on Switch and PS4 is an awful experience. Like Switch 1 or like base PS4. If you're playing on PS4 Pro, it's probably okay. But base PS4, base Xbox One, you know, Fortnite and Roblox have to drop those platforms. I know some other games are dropping PS4 support entirely. Genshin Impact is set to pretty soon. So there's like, if they haven't already, right? But there's a lot of that's going to start happening with service games. I think that'll be everybody's signal to upgrade. Hey, I can't play the game I've been playing for years anymore. Now I have to upgrade. Anyhow. Alright, as PlayStation handheld rumors continue, Modder has built a handheld PS4 that can run for up to 3 hours. So speaking of getting ready for your PS4, you could just turn it into a little handheld. This guy did. Hardware modders created their own handheld PlayStation 4, which they say is stable, fully functional, and safe to use. You know, safe to use is what I think about first when I play a handheld. Reddit user We Will Make It Now shared images of their portable PS4 project, which they said consisted of months of work, testing, and redesign. How can Genshin Impact play on my phone but not PS4? It's not that it can't, it's that they're dropping support. Like that's kind of the big thing, is they're like, hey, we don't support that anymore. Anyway, I thought this was cool. I'm not going to go into the details, but this is like awesome. I love seeing this kind of mod. He just took existing hardware, and you know, some of these gaming PC handhelds are obnoxiously large. So this thing being this like big and chunky, not a big deal to me. Look at how, like, that's a thick boy. That's like a GPU. Like, did y'all see that? Like, he showed the back with, like, the cooling fan. A guy modded his PS4 to, or modded a PS4 into, like, a handheld form factor. And so it's, like, this super thick... Dang, I was trying to pause it, and I don't understand the Reddit controls for their video player. Why am I... Look at how big that is. That's... I mean, that's like 3 or... like, yeah, 2.5, 3 inches. That's thick. And then the cooling fan on the back. Like, is that safe to touch? I have no clue. But that's an interesting, interesting design choice. That's just holding a GPU at that point with like a faceplate with the inputs on it. But that's cool. I wonder if the touchpad is just on the touchscreen for the PS4, the DualShock 4. I don't know. But that's neat. Good job, guy. All right, let's talk about Ubisoft because, you know, every time we talk about Ubisoft, it's good news, right? That's the joke. All right, Ubisoft employees vote to strike against proposed layoffs. French Ubisoft unions have unanimously agreed to organize a strike against the company between February 10th and 12th, 2026. For those unaware, Ubisoft recently announced a major restructure to the organization, which will lead to multiple studio closures and layoffs. The first set of dismissals has already been revealed, with 200 job cuts proposed at the Paris headquarters. The French unions have agreed to strike and are coordinating with international counterparts. Yeah, that restructure plan just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think it's going to end up well for them. Just to be completely honest, I don't see this going well for Ubisoft. If the strike is successful, then what though? They spent years building out this new restructure. I don't think they're gonna turn around and like change their mind. You know, the deal with Tencent is also in place. There's a bunch going on that's like Ubisoft ain't changing direction anytime soon. This is the direction they've chosen. So I don't know how effective a strike will be, but more power to them, I guess. Good luck out there. All right, Valve, makers of Steam and Half-Life, don't forget Half-Life, facing a $900 million class action lawsuit. Valve is going to have to defend itself in court for its pricing and commission practices. A class action lawsuit in the UK brought against the company is looking for roughly 656 million pounds in damages. $900 million or 656 million pounds in damages. That's a lot. First filed back in 2024 by Vicky Shotbolt, the lawsuit claims that Valve charges excessive commission charges that lead to an unfair price, which is then passed on to consumers. The lawsuit also alleges that Valve forces platform party obligations that prohibit publishers from selling products through other distribution channels on better terms than the same products are available on Steam. They say this practice is likely to restrict competition. That's not true though, because you have people releasing indie games on everything, right? Like if Valve forces those obligations, then people wouldn't just put their game on everything. There's if it was all AAA games that were only available on other platforms, and like Steam had a bunch of indies that were only available on Steam, which somebody might launch their game only on Steam by choice. But there's a ton of games that are on Epic, that are on GOG, that are on all three platforms that come out in current calendar year, right? I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Valve argues there's not enough evidence. They're not saying they're not doing it. They're saying you can't prove that we're not doing it. Valve's defense claimed that the group suing the company can't establish proper claims regarding its commission pricing due to the fact that the suit doesn't consider the effect of Steam keys. Without a credible plan for taking Steam keys into account, the PCR cannot establish Steam's actual effective commission charge, and without this, the PCR cannot establish whether the commission charge amounts to an unfair price. They also say that the suing group failed to show a plan to determine which Steam partners are actually paid these allegedly unfair prices. Despite these arguments and others, the London Competition Appeal Tribunal ruled that the case must move forward. As of publishing, Valve has not responded to the request for comment on the lawsuit. The case was filed on behalf of up to 14 million users, including minors. Shotbolt's attorneys say that the average loss ranges between $30 to $60 per person. Like, what? What are they talking about here? It's so weird. I don't think there's a lawsuit here. I think there's somebody just making a claim that's not going anywhere. In reality, this is just not gonna go very far. I just don't see it happening. All right, let's move on. All right, I talked about this last night on a short I published. Nintendo Switch Online leak hurts hope of Metroid Prime 2 remaster. I disagree with the premise here, but we'll get into it. Walmart's leaked 2 titles coming to Switch Online service, including the addition of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, damaging hopes that a remake was in the works. Fans have been clamoring for a remake of Metroid Prime 2 ever since the release of the original Metroid Prime remaster in 2023, with many speculating the absence of the second title on the Switch Online service was due to the game being set to receive similar treatment. So this image has been going around. This was on Walmart's website for Switch Online, like digital cards or digital codes for Switch Online. And you can see Pikmin 2 and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes both showing very prominently in the banner image here. With all these other games having been published or posted on Switch Online already. See, an image on the Walmart website advertising the Nintendo Switch Online subscription showcases several of the major games available in the service, though 2 of those games have not been officially revealed. Alright, Metroid Prime 2 would join... We know what's on there. Metroid Prime 2 would join the slew of titles from the franchise available in the service, though Metroid Prime itself is not available, with those who want to play the title instead having to splash out on the remaster. Given that Nintendo would be highly unlikely to release a classic version of Metroid Prime 2 into the NSO catalog if a remake of the title was planned, the news means that at the very least a remaster is still a way off, even if it's even in the pipeline at all. So I don't think this image kind of refutes that a remaster is possible. I mean, there's still the Pikmin 1 and 2 standalone or bundle game where you get Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 on the eShop. Outside of NSO, it's not an emulated game. I think this is good for people that want to play like that pure GameCube experience without having GameCube hardware. I mean, this is emulation after all, and it works well enough. It's definitely a way to experience the game as it was originally intended, whereas a remaster would be like, hey, this looks better. Maybe has some bonus content that's not available. Maybe, I don't know, just think of something. But I could see Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remaster coming out at the same time in a bundle or something along those lines. If they do that, if they do the full Metroid Prime 1 route where they remastered like a whole lot of the visuals and it felt like they rebuilt the game, then maybe that's going to take longer, especially for Metroid Prime 2 and 3 if they're trying to release them at the same time. However, if it's just Metroid Prime 2 that would be coming out, that shouldn't take as long, and maybe that comes out later and whatever. I don't know. People like to think that because it's in NSO, we're not going to get like a new version of it or a port. Wind Waker's in NSO, and we're still talking about Wind Waker HD coming to Switch 2 alongside Twilight Princess, which could totally be dropped into the GameCube section as well. Like that shouldn't surprise anybody if it does happen. It was a GameCube game. And we also forget, Nintendo is literally going to do whatever they want. So if they want to make their classic games available alongside $60, $70 remasters, that's totally their business. Most people will probably pay the Switch Online price just to play the base game as it is. Some people will buy both. I'm one of those people. I will play it on Switch Online because I have my subscription, but I will also probably pick up the physical remaster should it drop. Not a big deal. All right, I've lingered on this enough. Let's move on. Oh yeah, Nintendo. Okay, so Nintendo Direct coming next week. It's claimed the first full Nintendo Direct of the year could be coming next week. Now tomorrow there's a Tomodachi Life Direct tomorrow morning. I don't know if I want to react to it. I kind of do, but I don't know enough about the game. I never played the original. I just know it's got a ton of memes that make me laugh every time I see them. In his latest video on Monday, known insider Nate the Hate spoke about when Nintendo fans should expect the first full Nintendo Direct showcase. From what I've been told, the first Direct of 2026 will be held during the opening week of February. He then said that the expectation is that the show will take place on Thursday, February 5th. Which would be nice. I'd be down for that. While he mentions next week as being the time, Nate the Hate did leave a bit open. He said that he just had yet to confirm the information with his best contacts just yet. Should he have to give an update or amend anything, he says he'll do it on social media when he can. Should I just follow Nate the Hate? I feel like I should. I feel like he talks about this stuff constantly, and I'm always finding out through Insider Gaming, which is fine. But I think that previous leak with NSO games would have been shown at the, not that image, but those two games would have been shown at this coming Nintendo Direct. And they might still be. You know, there's no reason not to reveal them in an official capacity, and that would be the place to do it. So I think that Direct could be happening next week or sometime later. But next month is going to be a busy month because we've got, if we do a Nintendo Direct at the beginning, then we got a couple of weeks, and then we've got the Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents presentation. A lot of the same word in a different form. We have that whole presentation they're going to do, and that's going to be massive. So I feel like we'll have a lot of announcements next month just for the Nintendo Switch side of things. It's gonna be cool. I'm down for it. It's gonna be exciting. But dang, if they don't start February off with a Direct, people might explode. I don't know though. We know we have a good view of what's coming out the first half of the year. There's a lot that they could be doing. Maybe a new 3D Mario, maybe a new Zelda game. I don't know. Probably get like a tease, something for 2027. I would think for a Zelda game. Mario could be this year, but I don't know. Right behind DK Bonanza. Again, I think 2027 is more likely for those, but I could be wrong. It just depends on what it is. We'll probably get a look at Splatoon Raiders, which will be cool. I would like to see more on that game. Splatoon 3 just got a massive update too, so the timing might be good on that. So. Yeah, interesting times. I hope there's a Direct soon. I like reacting to them. I like watching them, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. Oh, and then they just go and drop this the other day. So let's watch it. It's like 3 minutes. Did y'all remember the Virtual Boy comes out on Switch next month as well? I'm wondering if you have to have the goggles to play. Like, if I could just play it in 2D, like they're showing me here. 3D Tetris. This looks complicated. Also, I just noticed this. This dude down here is making me uncomfortable for a lot of reasons. Not feeling that. Why does the Tetris piece have anime hair, anime eyes, and an anime mouth, all in very weird places? Not feeling that. That's weird design. Oh my gosh, there's a female. Dang it! I shouldn't have gone so far. I jumped around. I was trying to go back. I assume it's a female. I don't know. You never know with anime. What the heck? Anyway. Teleboxer. It looks like Punch-Out. Wario Land is one that I wanted to play. Because the Wario Land games are very goofy and weird. It's like, what if a platformer didn't work the way you expected a platformer to work? Look at this game. Spooky Mole Man. Hey, what the heck is this? Golf. Red Alarm, or not Star Fox. Or the Star Fox beta, I don't know, whatever way you want to look at it. And they jump into some features. Rewind when you realize how bad you are at these games. My favorite part about rewinding is just being like, I think not, game, and then just doing what I want. Also, I do like that they've added remappable controls. Like that's really great. Okay. That was just Tetris, but it was called V Tetris. And then previously unreleased games, Zero Racers, which looks like F-Zero. And then D-Hopper. Which this looks like it would make good use of the 3D. They showed very little of it. But I really do like that they're taking the opportunity to make some of this stuff accessible. I mean, think about it. Who's clamoring for a Virtual Boy? I think they're just doing this to showcase all of their old hardware and make a place for like people to just be able to enjoy the full run of what like made their hardware special. And with a failure like the Virtual Boy even being featured, I find that very interesting. But I also find that you can still buy the headset and stuff. Oh, this is also cool. Changing the screen color. So you can have it look more like a Game Boy. Or a Game Boy Pocket. And then you take... Apparently this filter, this lens cover is red all the time. But I'm wondering, do I have to have the headset to play these games? Like, is that... I don't remember. Like, if I don't have the headset, can I not launch them? Because I'll just play them in 2D. Just for stream purposes. But anyway. Alright. Let's go on. I'm excited for it. I'd like to get the headset, but it's like $100. And I don't want the cardboard one. I do not. But I would like the plastic retro setup. Okay, let's talk about this. I hate dunking on new games that haven't, you know, I'll be honest. I only played one match and the tutorial, and it did not leave a good taste in my mouth. But I would like... I would like to try it again, but I would like to see this game succeed because I can see a lot of the potential it has. But Highguard manages almost 100k Steam players on day one amidst over 13k negative reviews. Game was the final announcement at the Game Awards in December. Alright, so let's talk about this. Free-to-play shooter Highguard has debuted to a strong player base on Steam, but the achievement has been softened somewhat by over 13,000 negative Steam reviews. Sorry, I had trouble with that sentence. My brain was not comprehending. I did not comprehend what I was reading. Highguard was announced at the Game Awards, gaining a large amount of attention due to being the final game at the show. That slot is usually reserved for announcements from large franchises or well-known studios, so the debut shooter being placed in the slot, followed by radio silence from developer Wildlight Entertainment, turned heads. The game was released on Monday for PC and consoles, and has been met with a mixed reception from players online. However, Highguard has managed a strong start on Steam, at least when it comes to concurrent players. According to SteamDB, the game managed a peak of 97,249 concurrent players on launch day. It's not a bad number for an unknown game from an unknown studio. While these numbers are a strong debut for the IP, the reviews paint a different picture. At the time of this writing, just 32% of the game's reviews have been positive. The game currently has 6,027 positive reviews and 13,363 negative reviews. The game's negative reviews have largely focused on the large map size, which some players say is too large for the 3v3 matchups. I could see that. That wasn't my complaint. Highguard was developed by the California-based Wildlight Entertainment. It includes veterans from Respawn who worked on Apex Legends, Titanfall, as well as former Call of Duty devs. Their statement, "We're driven by our deep passion for making AAA games that leave a lasting impact on the world, and we match that drive with a commitment to quality in every aspect of our work." Alright, so, the game launched, got a lot of attention. We had a lot of games journalists and outlets praising the game, saying it was really fun, kind of building it up. We had a direct deep dive the day before the game came out and showed a lot of features. And then we all started playing it, and a lot of the complaints I think are valid. My biggest complaint is there's too many things happening at once in this game. It is too wide of a lane that they're trying to occupy, or too many lanes they're trying to occupy at one time. And I think the best way to describe it is it's like they wanted Overwatch with Battle Royale mechanics, but they also really liked playing Counter-Strike as well. And that's too many things happening for me. I feel like you could have focused on one or two of those things and merged them, but adding in all of the shop mechanics and looting and assault on the enemy team's base, like all of it all at once, is a lot. And it could be a skill issue, could just be me. Maybe the game's not for me, and that's okay. I can acknowledge that might be the case. But the news continues. Highguard was meant to be a shadow drop, but Jeff Keighley wanted it at the Game Awards. And I think this is like key to why our expectations were so different for this game, just in the gamer space, right? It's been an unusual couple of months for Wildlight Entertainment's Highguard, mostly in part to the constant abuse the game has received for its lack of marketing since its Game Awards announcement. But now we know why. It was meant to be a shadow drop. During a behind-the-scenes presentation with press and creators, Vice President of Product and Publishing Jason Torfin and lead designer Mohammed Alavi sat down with attendees of the event to answer questions. As expected, one of the main questions was around the game's marketing, or should we say lack thereof, and that's because the game was always intended to follow a similar release to Apex Legends, a shadow drop. However, sometime in 2025, the Game Awards host Jeff Keighley put a spanner in the works because he was stoked for the game and wanted to reveal it. Speaking at the event on the original plans, Tofin said, "I think the fact that we're independent and that we're smart with how we run our business and build our team means that we have those luxuries. We're not beholden to shareholders or any sort of other corporate shenanigans, and allows us to have that sort of confidence. And from the get-go, you can't bank on commercial success right out of the gate. If you do that, you're probably going to fail most of the time. That's why we're going to shadow drop," he said. "Let the game speak for itself. It was always the plan." And then, Jeff came in the past year, and he's played the game. I mean, he really liked it, and he was stoked. And we had an opportunity, and we decided, okay, we can make a trailer that would be in our shadow drop. And so the one we put there at the Game Awards was the one that would be the first thing you saw in the shadow drop, followed by 25 minutes of other context. And unfortunately, that trailer wasn't meant to be the thing to educate. So there you have it. Highguard's marketing wasn't bad per se. It just changed on a whim and kind of shot themselves in the foot for a couple of months. It explains why past rumors said the Highguard wasn't a paid placement, despite it being the show's last trailer, something traditionally reserved for the absolute best stuff. It simply was because Jeff Keighley liked it. Case closed. Which is true. And he admitted that. Jeff logged on to Twitter the other day and had the swords pointing at the guy's head meme You know, because everybody was like, "Oh, Jeff Keighley, would never trust him again." That's why we would trust him in the first place. I don't know. You don't know him, but you'd never trust him again. Uh, and it's just like, I mean, he was really excited about the game, and it's his awards show. He's welcome to do with it whatever he wants. But yeah, you couldn't show this at the end of the Game Awards and not expect backlash. And then their whole marketing plan was upended because of it. But they also agreed to it, so why didn't they have another plan? It's all weird, you know? But this game would have been far better off as a shadow drop. Because the way it launched, there's, like I said, there's just too many things to learn and too many things to understand. By, like, your first game, you're not going to know what's going on. And that's okay. Like, not everything has to be an amazing hit, and this is cool and kind of experimental, and I'm down with new stuff and trying new things. That just, like I said, I just did not enjoy my experience with it. So, there might be hope. A Highguard update aims to target game's biggest gripes. Wildlight Entertainment is working hard to address player concerns regarding some of the quality of life mechanics in Highguard, or rather, some of the missing quality of life mechanics. The game came out just 2 days ago, and players quickly discovered that some settings they expected to be there simply weren't. The Highguard team posted a message on social media addressing the issue and stated that player feedback will be addressed with some rapid patching. FOV sliders are incoming. We don't need a whole write-up on that. What else? What else was coming? Was that it? Oh, here's the statement. We'll be listening to feedback and working to add some highly requested features, including FOV sliders for consoles, toggle settings for ADS and crouch, and more graphics and scaling options for PC. Targeting to release a patch tomorrow, full patch notes once it's live. So it's really just basic stuff for settings and customizing each player's experience at the settings level and not with the game itself. But at least they're patching, right? That there's forward movement, and that can be commended. Yeah, so that's it. I think let me go back though before we press forward, right? Let's keep talking about Highguard for a minute. I think with the roadmap and stuff that they showed, making the first season battle pass completely free, and then saying that the battle passes never expire, the game has a solid footing in what it wants to do. I just think there needs to be some major refinements to the gameplay loop. There are steps that feel absolutely pointless. The whole tower defense side of it, where I'm reinforcing my base and having to go farm some currency to build up my base and then, you know, go out and fight and leave my base entirely to go get the shield breaker and then bring that to the other side of the map. It's like, okay, why am I fortifying my base if I'm going to assault the other team's base? Right? And then the other team is thinking the same thing. So it only matters if you lose that initial exchange, which that initial exchange could just be, I don't know, attack and defend every other round. And then the tower defense makes more sense, right? But I don't know. I think overall I'm not sold on what the entire loop like altogether is. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything productive or helpful to my team when I played. I died a lot. I felt like the way the game handles like the combat and like the gunplay was okay. I just didn't really understand it. The abilities I didn't feel like I did anything with. You know, so each hero has their abilities, kind of like an Overwatch. About the one thing I did like was the movement. The movement felt very tight. I liked being able to like clamber up a wall, ride a zip line. The mount being like your sprint was all right. I didn't really have any complaints about that. I just think the game is too broad and should be focused up just a little bit. But anyway, okay, that's where I'm gonna leave it. Like, I'm not gonna trash the game completely. I think there's a lot of potential. I might revisit it, give it another shot. Just that first experience was not great for me, and I think that's okay. Like, we can admit that not everything has to be for us. You know, not every game has to be meant to be like made to my taste, because that would be stupid. That would be nonsense. The games would just be awful, right? Okay, let's get to our last story before we wrap up here. Blizzard unveils 4-part showcase to outline future of its franchises. I think this is going to be a big deal. Hopefully, I believe Blizzard can make a comeback at some point. Blizzard Entertainment has uncovered a grand showcase circuit that promises to uncover the future of its biggest franchises as the company's 35th anniversary approaches. From January 29th to February 11th, 4 broadcasts will be hosted by the firm as part of the franchise spotlight schedule. The Blizzard Showcase will be streamed online and will incorporate presentations from World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and Diablo. Blizzard Showcase starts this week. So from January 29th, which is in 2 days, no, 1 day, tomorrow, Blizzard's team will be presenting a series of grand events designed to unveil the future of the company's most prolific brands. It all begins with World of Warcraft, which kicks off this Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Then Overwatch has a spot on February 4th, commencing at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Following that, Hearthstone fans have their time in the limelight February 9th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. And finally, it all wraps up with Diablo presented by the team on on February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. So this should be cool. I'm hoping that the WoW and Overwatch showcase are really good. I'm curious what Diablo is going to do next because their seasonal approach, I don't know if it's been received very well, but it seems like a decent idea. Instead of just DLC packs, they just do seasons. I don't know. Fans have predicted that things will run a little deeper as a recent graphic published to celebrate Blizzard 35 also contained icons related to StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm. Man, I would love some Heroes of the Storm updates. I would start playing it again. StarCraft especially needs a little love. Recently, it was revealed that StarCraft 2 would not be making an appearance at this year's Esports World Cup, nor will any other RTS title. This has left fans of the age-old series disappointed and feeling left out in the cold. However, it was suggested in January that an all-new StarCraft-based shooter would be revealed this year. Elsewhere, the Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred expansion was unveiled during the Game Awards, and that's scheduled to drop on April 28th. And so there we go. A lot of stuff coming from Blizzard. I just would like them to turn the ship around a little more. Maybe make things that people want to play again. I don't know. I just miss Overwatch. I miss what Overwatch used to feel like, and now it's just weird. The free-to-play aspect of it, the constant badgering about quests and challenges and battle passes just made the game less fun for me. I used to just enjoy playing, and the game itself was fun on its own. But anyway, that does it for the game news. I don't think... Oh, no, wait. I got one more thing. We got one more thing. Major thing. Sorry, we're not done. GTA 6 may not have a physical version on day one to avoid leaks. It's claimed the physical version may come a few weeks or even months later. So, Take-Two and Rockstar may hold back the release of the physical version of GTA 6 to avoid spoilers. That's according to Polish site PPE.pl, whose insider Graxdari previously correctly leaked information on the release date of Oblivion remastered physical copies, the Switch 2 port of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and the PS5 port of Microsoft Flight Simulator. According to that guy, who that website says handles physical game sales in Europe, Take-Two still has no plans for a physical edition of the game, at least at release. While it appears inevitable the game will get a physical release, the report claims that it may appear on consoles digitally first, with a physical version following later. This could only be a few weeks after release or as far back as 2027. We're hearing more and more that the physical version won't be released simultaneously with the digital version to prevent leaks, their source claims. We're getting conflicting reports. Some say the physical version will arrive 3 to 4 weeks after the digital, while others say it won't happen until early 2027. More information will be available in mid-February. So, with that in mind, if you think about games like this that are huge. When I worked at GameStop, anytime a major release was coming through, which I believe I worked there for the GTA 4 launch, I was there for the Wii launch and the PS3 launch and all of those major launches during that generation. And one thing I can remember is getting you get the physical versions a few days early with stickers that's like street date, do not break, stuff like don't even open this box before the street date, the sale date or whatever. And I learned that GameStop, had major contracts with like Take-Two or whoever's publishing these big releases, right? Major contracts that, like, violating Street Date could lose them the contract depending on, you know, the terms and everything. But it was always inevitable that, and it happens now even, where the game comes in, people start opening it, taking pictures of it, somebody brings it home, tries to start playing it, you know. I think this is the best path for them to avoid spoilers and leaks and people playing it, you know, days early, is to release the physical version later. However, this also means day one, you have to get it digital. Are you going to buy a physical copy after that? Probably not, right? You're probably just going to wait for that physical release if you're a physical media purchaser and don't want to do digital at all. And I don't know. I feel like the FOMO is going to hit, and people are going to buy it digitally across the board. Those physical sales are going to really tank. It just feels like a setup to force people to buy it digitally. And I think that's where I'm going to leave the game news for today. That's huge news. And I get why they would do it, but good lord, like, that's going to drive people away from buying that physical copy, which means any collector's edition probably won't even come with a disc, right? They rarely do now anyway, but I just think that's going to be a weird time. Anyway, that does it for today's game news. Whatever I'm trying to say. Good lord. I need more coffee. That does it for the game news. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to sign off here, get to work. Is there anything I need to do? Nah, we're good. All right. Well, I love you guys. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see tomorrow night for a stream of some sort. I don't know what we're doing. Anyway, bye.